Hey everybody. Today we're going to be repairing, we're going to actually be replacing the screens on a Nintendo DS Lite. I'll show you what I mean. So power's on, and this top screen has a bunch of really bright spots there, up here, and this bottom screen is just awful looking, like maybe it got wet or something. The touchscreen itself works, and I'll show you real quick. Just test it in here. So that's working okay. And it's just the screens themselves. So I'll show you how to do that. So to get into a DS Lite, you need a set of small screwdrivers with a small Phillips head and a Y bit. And then I also use a guitar pick and a sewing needle. And I'll show you why. So we'll get the driver itself out, and we're going to use this, which is a PH00 and a Y 2.5. The battery compartment is the Phillips. Use a guitar pick to get this out. That's not the main reason I have it though. These other screws here are Y bits, so we'll switch it over. So there's one here in the corner. One in this corner. One right here. And there's one that I sometimes forget, which is up here in the DS slot. The Y bit as well. The other ones are Phillips. So it's this one and these two. This one you don't have to take out right yet. We're going to take it out in a minute, but I'll show you that. So take this one out here with a Phillips. Now when you put it back together, this one is shorter than all the other ones. So you don't want to get that mixed up, or else you'll poke through to the other side of it. And under here, so this is what I use my needle for. Pop them off. I'll just stick them to the door. And those two are Phillips as well. So, usually I'll flip it around. I'll get my thin guitar pick. This is a .60 millimeter. Just get it right in here. And it doesn't take much. You don't have to pry at it, but it's just enough to get it popped. The next things you need to worry about are the shoulder buttons. So they each have a spring, and they each have this little pin here. So what I usually try to do is press my finger kind of against the pin, just to give it like friction, and I'll pop it out so it's just like all together, and then I'll set it down like on the back of this. So that way I don't have to reassemble the pin and the spring if I'm ginger enough with it. Okay, so got that far out. I said something about it being water damaged, but this doesn't show that it was, so I don't know what happened to that screen. So the next two things you need to take out are these two screws. These are both Phillips heads. This is the one that you saw through the battery compartment. That hole in the battery compartment. Right there. And for this one, I think if you're just replacing the bottom screen, you don't have to get into it super far, but since we're doing the top screen too, we need to pop these off. This is the antenna for the wireless, and then this one is the microphone, and they both run up the hinge here. This one a lot of times the cable goes underneath the DS slot, and most you could just like pull it out and it comes right out, but sometimes it'll get like turned in there and it kind of gets stuck. No, that one came right up. So we got that. I'm going to open this and then just press this out. Okay, so this is obviously the ribbon cable for this screen, and then this is the ribbon cable for the top screen. So that goes through the hinge, and it just has a little latch that you flip up. So you can get it with your fingernail, a small tweezer if you're careful, a guitar pick if you have one, and that should just come right out. Okay, so we could do this touch screen first, or this bottom screen first. All right, so we have a bottom screen and top screen and a bottom screen. Bottom screen. And that's what it looks like. This one has the same sort of little latching mechanism. So you just pop it up, and that'll come out of there. This one is a little bit different. Actually, gonna move this out of the way. So this is just a little. It just plugs right in, right there. But this flips up, if I'm not mistaken, from the back. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Close it back down again, but this flips up like this, and then you pull it out this way. Now I've replaced these. You know, these touchscreens go bad too, and a lot of times when you get them, the cable is like bent around this way, so it never wants to go back around the board the right way. So since this touchscreen is good and it has the pink little trim around it, we are going to take this off and reuse it on this screen. So I like to just get under it here. So what we need to do is we need to get under not only just the touchscreen but the adhesive too. So if you see, I'm just slipping this right under there. And if you get it under there, you start to kind of pry up against it and it'll just start coming up. See that? And basically what we have to do in this scenario is not break the touchscreen. That's still working. So once we get it open enough, we can kind of just pry it open with our fingers. Adhesive mostly came off. There's a little teeny bit there. That's not going to matter. So we just need to not get a lot of dust between them, like that. And we just need to line these up. Just kind of line up how it was on the other one, which is pretty much like corner to corner at the top. And once it's on, it just kind of sits on there. Just press it down. Okay. This goes in there like that. It has, see, it has two little like tabs. So if it won't go in easy, you can kind of, and you want it to seat fully in that little jack there, and that little. So just kind of press against it with like a tweezers or a little tool or something. So that's fully in there, and we just want to flip this back over that little, and that's what it looks like. And then we put the touchscreen back on, so we make sure that this is open, and there we go. It just kind of seats in there, and then you flip this down. It doesn't take a whole lot of force. You don't want to push it too hard. You don't want to break that little thing off. So that's that. So that screen is replaced, and that's the easier one. The top one, you have to take this apart from the screen part of it, and then this back cover has to come off as well. So we start with these two screws here, and this is kind of what holds the hinge itself on. And these are longer than all the other ones. Oh, and don't lose your buttons. Sometimes they just stay in there, and sometimes they fall out. Alright, so I got the two screws out. Then this, it's already coming apart. So it comes up off of that. And then it goes out this way. So that's the hinge. Right. And then these two cables. This one is routed. Normally the board would be over this one. It's routed through these little teeny grooves. And this ribbon cable is actually rolled up in there. If you can see it, you'll see it a little better once I get it apart. But and then these kind of go through the middle of that roll. But to get it out, there's a little slot here, and you put the ribbon cable in that slot as you kind of like gently pull this apart. And I think usually you have to angle it a little bit. It doesn't matter a whole lot for this screen because it's broken, but when we put the new one in, we don't want to like be too rough with it. See how that's sliding through that little slot there, and then those go through the middle of it. I lost my buttons. See how that is? So the back cover has 4 screws under these little rubber plugs, and we're going to use that sewing needle again. I just kind of get under the edge. I don't want to mark this up too bad. I try to get under the edge as best as possible. For these ones, I usually just, unless I'm replacing this part, which you do sometimes have to do, I just stick it right on the face of it, because when we put it back together, I'll just plop them all back in there. Okay. And then these are little short Phillips screws as well. See? Hopefully you can see that. I tried to stick the camera in a okay enough spot that you can see what I'm doing and I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we did that. Now this back cover doesn't just pop off. It actually, you have to slide it off. So the back part would slide up, the front part slides down. There's like these little tabs. If you just pried it, you'd break them, which I don't think matters a ton because it does have screws, but if you do this, you can start seeing that it gets a little gap in there. So again, I'm going to use my pick, guitar pick, and just kind of sit it in there as I'm prying it down. Yep. So there we go. Those clips are out, and those ones are out. Yep. See how it's separated there? You can even see them right in there. Oh, there's your speakers. I lost a little plug. Okay. So to get the screen out, again, we're going to use the guitar pick and just kind of pry at it. In the case of the top screen, this lens and the frame stay in here, not like the bottom one. So we're just going to get under it. There is adhesive in it, so we're going to just kind of be gentle. Separate down there. There we go. And for this, because the wires for the antenna and the wire for the microphone go through the middle of this rather than try to get it out around it and then sneak the new one back in, I'm going to take these out. So this you can take right out, and then we'll put them in after we get the new screen in. And this is a little rubber like damper. That pops out. And to get it out of this hinge area, I just roll it up. And yeah, like I said, for this one it doesn't matter if we kink it up a little bit to get this out, but on the new one we're going to want to be careful. And if we don't touch the inside of this lens, then we won't have to wipe it off. Okay, so there that is. See how I did that? And see how it is curled up there? So here's the new screen. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, so I actually didn't remember that you had to solder the speakers on. But that's not a huge deal. Okay, so I'll just use the box as a little work area, flatten that out. We'll get some flux on that, get the little pads tinned up. Don't need a whole lot. Okay, I'll just move them over one at a time. So it's black at the top, red at the bottom. Just gonna be in the way for a second here. Okay. Okay. And this one's opposite, red at the top, black at the bottom. Okay. And this is just a cheap old Radio Shack 30-watt iron. I think what I'm going to do is kind of roll this up and I'm going to put a piece of tape on it to keep it. Let me hold that for a second. Hopefully this works. Alright. Rolled up. That might work. Yep. Okay. I got it pulled through with that little tape on there. I don't think I touched the screen at all, the lens. So I think I should be able to set this down in there. Badly. Yep. The speaker side is the side that goes towards the holes. It has a screen protector on it that I would have missed. That would have been sad to get it all the way back together. Okay, so we got the screen on there, we got the speakers back in. I'm going to take this tape off. Okay. Pull too hard on it. Alright. That pretty much looks like how it's supposed to look. What I should have done before I did that was put this thing on. But I think it'll be easier. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Okay. And so we have to get the antenna back on and the microphone back in. So we'll sneak that back down the middle. Like that. Sorry, just close the windows. So I got this little microphone that goes in here. And then this one. This one actually has to come down here and then go through the center. So grab it with the scissors. Alright, so before I go any further, we're going to put this back on. It's going to be the same sort of thing. We kind of get it on there and then we'll slide it together. Okay. We have our little Phillips screws we put aside here. And just in case for some reason we have to take this back apart, I'm not going to put the little rubber plugs in until the end. So let's get it attached to this part, and we'll just wipe that out real quick because it's a little funky in there. Okay. Okay, we'll get our two little wires in there first. Come on. This kind of has to be, if you can see it, we got this out at a little bit of an angle. We got to put it back at a little bit of an angle too. We'll start it this way. Right? It's fully through. Slide it together. Good. We'll put this little hinge piece on. Remember, these ones are the long screws. Okay. Oh. Uh-oh. Boop. We have to put our buttons back in. All these, the letter buttons can only go in one way. So, B, X, A. So they have a little, I can't see that, I'll show you on this one. So each one of them has a tab, like this, and like an indent, at least one indent. This one has two. Okay, so we can put our board back in. So this is how I usually do it. You got to make sure that this is still flipped up. I usually try to get this kind of like positioned with my thumb, and then I can put it back in here like that, and then flip it down. That looks like it might be it. Before we flop this board back over, remember this white cable has to go back across this way. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's like something like this. Pretty much, as long as you're not in the way of the screen here or up there when they halves meet together, then you'll be fine. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This can get flipped over. So, push that screen back down. Actually, we'll fish this through too. Okay, that's that. This one goes here. That's pretty much it. What I like to do at this point is test it before I put all the shoulder buttons and the back and all that on. So if you kind of get the battery like that and hold it on there, you can turn it on. Oh, this one's dead, or I moved it maybe. Might be dead. Okay, so we got top screen looking good, bottom screen looks good. I don't know if you can see that. Top screen's good, bottom screen's good. So just let the battery off, and we'll put this the rest of the way back together. And it's pretty much like taking it apart. So we'll stick these shoulder buttons back in. Just remember, we're holding that pin and that spring. I like to put them in like this, and then kind of hold that pin down and swing the button around. Okay, good. And you want to be careful that you don't like bump that out of there. So hold it just like this. Put that down in here. Okay, that's good. Now for putting the back on, you want to make sure that the volume slider and the on slider are both like where the slider actually is and where the power actually is. So right, this is all the way that way. Make sure this is all the way that way. Power is down this way by default, so you want to make sure that this is down. And because otherwise, if you jam this on there and it's the wrong position, with the power specifically, just this teeny little thing. So if you jam it on there, you break that off, and then you won't be able to turn it on. So goes like this. Okay. So we have the two. I didn't show you, but the two that go. Oh, just dumping them over. Sorry, my battery died. The two that go under these bumpers are gold, so, and they're Phillips. And if you remember, we have one shorter one that is a Phillips, and that one goes here. We'll switch over back to the Y bit. One here in the corner, one in this corner, one there, and then there's a teeny little black one right there that goes up where the DS slot is. Put this battery back in. That. And then we put these little stoppers back in. Okay. So you have to do the setup. I'll do that real quick. Sometimes you have to recalibrate the screen, the touch screen, to the screen behind it. In this case, it actually seems like it's fine. I wonder if when they made it, they thought they would be used in 2023. Just do the setup. There you go. Okay. Make sure the volume works. Well, anyway, that is how you replace both the screens in your DS Lite. Thanks for watching.